Okay, I think I'm live. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to another live session. I think I've been a little bit busy, so I am back after maybe 10 days. So today what we're going to do is, we all might have known about Candy Crush. We have already played that in our phones. So today we're going to make a Candy Crush game. Basically, we will focus on the logics and the implementation. We won't be looking too much on the UI, but I'll try to put up whatever I can. And the candies that I'm going to use, I have already, maybe if you can see that I already have a React project open. So actually I have started the project with, if you can see the terminal, I will just make it a little bit bigger. So I have started the React project with npx create React app, and the name of the project I have given Candy Crush. So after that, I have already created this project. And once this is created, I went to the source folder. And inside that, I have an images folder. I created this, and these are some of the images that you can see are already present. So let's just get started with the video. And the first thing that I will do is I will just do NPM Start. And alongside that, I think I'm going to take off my video. So I'm just going to shut it down. Okay. Well, I will be using this space as well. So if you can already see, and this will be the part of the VS Code. All right. So as you can see that if I run NPM Start, that means the React project is working fine. So let's get started with the code. At first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete off this app.css. And I don't need this. And there's an error right now. I'm going to fix it anyway. I'm just going to go to index.css. And I am going to remove all of these. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put my own CSS. So at first, I will come back to this. I'll fix this, but before that, let me go to the app.js. Let me remove these lines because these are the things where the errors are occurring. And I think I need to take this thing off. Can you save it? At least, yeah, this is coming. This looks fine. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of these, and I'll keep this. Apparently what I'm going to do in this part is I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give a class name as game, because this is the portion where the Candy Crush, the candies will be sorted out in a grid. And what you can do is you can drag and drop and like play the game. And after this div, we will be having an image. Well, we will come back to that, and we will also have a score. So after this div, we will have a h1 tag where we will be displaying the score that we get. So inside this h1 tag, I'm going to have a class name called score. Okay. So that will be it. I'm going to save this, and in the index.css, now I'm going to change everything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the whole thing, and here the background color, I think I want aquamarine. Okay. Then for the app class, I'm actually writing CSS for these classes. This is the app class, this is the game class, and this is the score class. So for all of these, what I'm doing is, as you can see, I think I need to make this capital. So in this class, we will have a display of flips, and justify content will be space around. And then we will have a padding of 30 pixels. Okay. And with that, we will have a game tag where we will have a width of 560, because what I want is a grid maybe of, I think there will be 8 into 8. That means 64 squares that we are going to have, small squares. So for that, we will have a width of 560 pixels, and we will have a height of 560 pixels as well. After that, we are going to have display as flex, and flex wrap will be wrap. Okay, that's what we're going to have. And we also have a score. So in that case, I just wanted text align will be the end, and font size will be 50 pixels. That's what I want. Okay. So right now, as we have nothing actually, what we're going to do is, let's start by importing the candies at first. So if I go here, and as you can see that this is the images folder, these are the candies. Okay, so if you can see that I have an index.js file, this is actually called a barrel file, and it looks something like this. I am actually exporting every single candy from this one file, and I won't be like importing every single candy I won't be having one single line for every single imports in the app.js. Rather than that, I will just have one single line where I'm going to import everything from this index file. So I'm going to get that. So first, what we're going to do is import. We have chocolate, we have dango, ice cream, then we have lollipop, we have purple candy, and we have a blank. Well, this is a blank that we're going to use like when we are actually matching the candies, like 3 in a row, 4 in a row, or 5 in a row, or maybe in the form of columns. We will just focus on straight lines only for this purpose. So whenever we match and those candies get disappeared, and then the ones above these comes down. So in place of that, there will be a blank space before the new or the generation of the new candies to fill up those blank spaces. So we will be importing this from images. Okay, so that's what we need, and let's just have the width of, as I said, that this will be an 8 into 8 grid, so we have this. Now we are going to have a list of the candy colors, and in this list we are going to include everything from the import or the images that we have imported. So what we have, chocolate, then we have dango, we have ice cream, then we have lollipop, and finally we have purple candy. We don't need the blank to be imported in this place, so we have our list. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to create the board at first. So for that, just here inside, one more thing I want to do is I want to change the regular function loop to like this. I will be using arrow functions. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use. So here at first, let's create a board. So we will name this as create board, and this will also be an arrow function accordingly. So let's have an empty list at first. We will have random color arrangement, and this, as I said, this will be an empty list. So now for the creation of the board, I said that we will be having an 18:8 board, that is a 64 squares board. So we will be looping, we will having a for loop, and this for loop will be looping till 64. So in that case, what we're going to do is, let's just name this like width. I want width into width, or width square, however you want, or you can directly write 64, that's also fine. So inside this, let's have a constant called random color, and we will go to the candy colors. I think, yeah, we'll go through the candy colors, and inside that, let's have, maybe I will say I want the floor value actually, so that this can avoid any sort of, like, how should I say, float or double float values. So in that case, this will come up to the one number, which is, if there's a fraction called 5.5, then it will read 5 here. So we're going to have a random generation of candy colors.length. Okay, so from here, I don't think I need this plus I, and after that we will have random color arrangement dot push. We will be pushing out the random color like this. Okay, so that's what we're going to have. So now what we will do is we will be using useState and useEffect hooks as well. So in that case, we will have useState of an empty list or an empty array, which will be named as constant, current color arrangement. So in that case, let's just make one here. Current color arrangement. I hope I spelled correct. Set current color arrangement, and this will be useState, and we will have an empty. Okay, and what we need to do is we need to import. So let's just import here as import. As I said, that we will be using useState and useEffect both. So that's what we are going to have. useState from React and useEffect. We're going to use it very shortly. Okay, so that's what we have. So once we have this, what we want to do is we want to set the current color arrangement to the random color arrangement list that we have. So let's just do that. Set current color arrangement to random color arrangement. Okay, that's what we will have. Okay. I think I've missed. Okay, let's save it now. Okay, expected an assignment, whatever. I think let's just ignore this for now. I'm going to make this bigger. Okay. we need to call this create board, and what I want to do is we want to call this within useEffect. So in that case, useEffect, and we will be calling this from here. And as this is a useEffect, we want to render this once, not multiple times. So we will have an empty dependency array. We don't need that, and we will be just taking this off. Okay, so that's what we have now. Now the next thing that we want to do is as I said that we have the current color arrangement right now, as we have said this. So now what we can do here is we can map through, or we can walk over this current color arrangement, and we can display them. So I'm going to map here, and what I need is candy color. This is the name of the iterator that I'm using, and I also want the index. So what I'm going to do is, I think I missed something. Okay. Okay, here I'm going to have an image tag. For some reason, I think I'm missing something. Okay, now this seems fine. Oh, all right. Okay, so within this image tag, first let's have a key, which will be the index. Then the source will be candy color. Then after that, we will have an alt text, which will be candy color as well. We are going to work with data ID, which will be index. Then we want to drag the candies. So as these are all image files, we want to click on one image and we want to drag this to one place to another for playing the game. And we also want to make sure that it does not have any invalid moves. That means that whenever we want to move the candies, we have to check for the rows of 3, the columns of 3, then the rows of 4, the columns of 4, as well as the rows of 5 and the columns of 5. So we want to drag the candies to only the place which is just above it, just below it, the one on the left and the one on the right. So basically, these are the things that we want to make sure. So we will be doing those step by step. Right now, what we're going to do is we want to make this draggable, and we are going to set this to true. Okay, and then on drag start, I think I'm going to write these later on. Let's just have draggable will be true. Okay, so let's just save this for now. And let's check what we have. I don't think we have anything here yet. It's asking for something on line 22. Expected an assigner function call and instead saw an expression. Okay, if I refresh, it still says the same thing. Anyways, I think we're going to work on that. That will be fine. Okay. So let's just proceed with what we have. All right. So now, as I said, that we want to have some checks, and we want to check for the rows of 5, the columns of 5, rows of 4, the columns of 4, and the rows of 3, as well as columns of 3. That means we want these matches to be like in a straight line wherever they are. And one more thing that I want to say is maybe if we try to look for 6, but that's not logical apparently, because it will already get 3 matches in any way. If you want to match 6, it needs to be matched 3 on one side and 2 on the other. So if it already gets 3, there will be no more matching because it gets the 3 matches and those disappear. So there's no question of talking about 6. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we will at first check for columns of 5. So let's do that here. Const check for column of 5, and this will be an arrow function as well. Here, what we want to do is we want to have some checks, because if we want to have a check of column for 5, we need to skip at least four rows from the bottom, I guess, or 4 columns from the bottom. So in that case, the column means we will be matching downwards or upwards, not right or left. That in that case, we need to have at least 4 rows like deducted from the calculation that we have. So for maybe this will be checked till the index of 4. So for that reason, if we omit those 32 squares, I guess, or 32 boxes, then we will have 32 remaining. So the index of the last box, that means the 32nd box, is 31. So we will have to check till maybe I will say less than 32. So for that, let's have for let I equals 0, I less than 32, I plus plus. And inside that, let's have const column of 5 I. We will have I plus width. As we already know that this is an 8 into 8 grid. So by width, what I mean is 8. So if you can see, if I is the index that we are matching, then we want to match the one just after that, just below that, I would say. So the index below that, that's number will be I plus 8. So we have I plus width. And then the next one as well, which will be I plus width into 2. That means if 8 is the width, then we have I plus 16. Then we want I plus width into 3. That means the one even below that. And we want the last one as I plus width into 4. That will be the last one. So as you can see that there are 5 indexes that we are matching. This is the first index I. The one below it is I plus 8 or I plus width. Then the one is I plus width into 2. That means I plus 16. Then the one below it is I plus 24, and this one is I plus 32. So these are the 5 things that we're going to match wherever the index is. So starting from the index 0, we will be checking till the index of 31, because we cannot go after that. If we do, there won't be 5 squares to be matched or 5 candies to be matched. So if you want, so let's continue. Now we will have decided color. That means from the current color arrangement I, as you can see that if this is the current color arrangement or I is the index, the color candy that we have on the ith index is a decided color, and we are going to match the next ones for the columns. That means the ones below it from I mean that should be the decided color or the same as I. So in that case, we also want to have is blank current color arrangement of I is blank. Okay. So now we want to see if the column of 5 dot every, let's go for, these are candies but square boxes, so let's have square current color arrangement of square equals decided color, and we also want to check if it's not blank. So what we want is, we will do and not is blank. Okay, so if that is the case, so we will have column of 5 for each square, and instead of decided color, now what we will have is blank. That means if there is no blanks and the colors are matched with the decided color, then we're going to take these off and turn them into blank. And we will be returning true because we need them. We're going to return this as true. Okay. So one more thing that I want is, as I said, that we will be having scores as well. So in that case, let's just go with const score display and set score display. This will be initially 0, set to 0. So I don't think I will be needing display. This will be a present tense, not past. So score display and set score display. The initial value of score display is 0. So here we're going to just increment the value with 1. So for that, what we will do is set score display will be whatever the score is plus 1. Okay, so that's what we're going to have. So that's what we're going to check for the row of, or column of 5. And then let's have a check for row of 5. Check for row of 5. And this will be an arrow function as well. So in this case, as we're considering rows, so we don't need to think about the things below us. So we will have to check till the 64th index. But right now, as we are going to check for the rows in straight lines, that means on the right and left, not above and below. So for that, we will also have some invalid moves, or maybe I would say that invalid indexes that we're going to avoid. So in that case, we will be having a list. So let's just move forward and write let I equals 0, I less than 64. So we'll go to the last index here, I plus plus, and within this, let's just define the row of 5 first. So row of 5, this will be the I index, then this will be I plus 1, then we will go with I plus 2, I plus 3, and I plus 4. We don't need I plus 5. So these are the 5 indexes that we're going to check. So in the same way here as well, we will have the decided color as the current color arrangement. So I'm going to copy this line and I'm going to paste it here. Okay. Now, as I said, that we need to check some of the valid indexes as well. So we will have a not valid list of indexes. So basically, as we have like 64 indexes starting from 0, so that means the last index is 63. So in that case, we need to avoid the last 4 indexes for every single row. If we go from the first row, then I will say 0, 1, 2, and 3 are valid, but 4, 5, 6, and 7, these are not valid. 5. Then we will have 6 and 7. Then after that, 8, 9, 10, and 11. These 4 are valid. Then the next invalid ones are 12, 13, 14, 15. Likewise, in the next line, we will have 20, 21, 22, 23. Then we will have 28, 29, 30, 31. Then we have 36, 37, 38, 39. Then we have the valid ones are 40, 41, 42, 43. So the next invalid ones are 44, 45, 46, 47. Then the next ones are 52, 53, 54, 55. And from the last line, 61, 62, 63, and 64. Well, these are the indexes that are not right. That's what I think. No, I think this should not be 61. This should be 60, then 61, 62, 63, not 64. We don't need 64. Okay, so these are the invalid indexes or indices, and we are also going to have that is blank here as well. So in that case, let's just go with is blank. It's blank. So first we are going to check about if it's not valid. I mean, not valid dot includes I. That means if the indice or the index is I and it's within the not valid list, so what we're going to do is we're just going to continue. Okay. And then we're going to check for the row of 5, dot every square. Now we're going to check for the color arrangement, current color arrangement of square is the decided color, and we also want to check that if that spaces or those boxes are not blank, so not is blank. So in that case, we will have rows of 5 dot for each. We will have that square, and current color arrangement square will be blank. That means we're going to replace the matched boxes with blank. And alongside that, we are going to set the score display for score plus 1. That's what we're going to have, and we're going to return true. So as you have already seen, that what we did with check the row of 5 and for the column of 5, we're going to do the exact same things for column of 4 and column of 3, as well as row of 4 and row of 3. So I'm going to copy up to here, and I'm going to paste it twice. Okay, so in the first case, column of 5, row of 5, then this will be a column of, I would say, 4, and this will be also column of 4. And I'm going to copy this. This will be column of 4. This will be column of 4. Okay, so now as we are working with the column of 4, so the loop that we have already discussed, that means if it was for the column of 5, we are checking downwards and we have to match 5. So we can check, I mean, we need to omit the last 3 rows for checking of column of 4, because in case of column of 5, we have skipped the last 4 rows, and now we have to skip the last 3 rows. So in that case, this will be i's less than 40. Okay, so if that is the case, now we're going to check if I is the index, we want the one below it, that is I plus width, then the one after that, I mean just below that, I plus width into 2, that is I plus 16, and I plus width into 3, that is I plus 24. We want up to this, we don't need this, so we're going to remove that. Okay, and in case of row, we're going to go to that. The rest of the things are okay, because as you can see that the decided color is the correct color, because this is the one that we are going to match with. So for a column of 4, we are going to check every of these things in the list. We're going to check that if the square that is iterator, you can call it candy as well. So if the square of, that means the color or the candy that is present in the current color arrangement in this index is equal to the decided color and is not blank. So what we're going to do is, we will, if this is matched, then what we will do is we are going to remove all those candies or replace all those candies with blank, and we will have a score display with +1. Okay, so this is the column of 4. In case of the row of 4, let's change it to row of 4. This one also, row of 4, and I'm going to copy this and change these two. Okay, so in case of the row of 4, it will be starting from the 1. We will check the ones to the right, I mean the immediate next indexes or indices. So if I is the index, then I plus 1 is the next one, I plus 2 is the one after that, and I plus 3 is the one after that. So we are going to check up to these ones, and we don't need this. I plus 4, so we're going to remove this. And in case of these things, now for every single row, we are going to omit the last 3 indices. Because in case of 5, we had to omit the last 4 indices. We are going to omit the last 3 indices in case of 4, because from the 4th or maybe from the 5th indice, we will be starting to check. Then we will check the 6th one, the 7th one, and then the 8th one. That is from index number 4. We will check index 5, 6, and 7. So we don't need this 4. Then we will get rid of 12. We'll get rid of 20. Then we will get rid of 28. We'll get rid of 36. Then 44. Then 52. Then 60. Okay. So basically these are the things, and the rest of the things will remain as it is, because we are going to check the not valid list of indices, if indices, if we find, or if the loop goes on within these, then we're going to continue, and we're not going to check any of these anymore. So after this continuation, then I mean if these are not included in the not valid list, then only we're going to check for row of 4. So we have made the column of 4, and we have made the row of 4 as well. Now let's make, similarly, let's make the column of 3. And in this case, for the column, we will omit the last 2 lines only, or the last 2 columns only. Sorry, the last 2 rows only. So in that case, we are going to check up till 48. I mean the one just before 48, that is the last index will be 47. All right, and with that, I think the column of this will be 3 instead of 5. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. So we will be checking the one that is the I index, the one below it, that is I plus 8, and the one just below that. So I plus 8 into 2 is I plus 16. So these are the indices that we're going to check, and we don't need these 2. So I'm going to take these things off, and the rest of the things remains the same. So as you can see that we'll be checking the column of 3 if the current index or the candy in the current index, if that is matched with the decided color. and it's not blank, so we're going to replace, or if there is a match, then we're going to replace those candies with blank, and we're going to increment the score as well. And finally, we want to check for row of 3. So in this case, what we will do is row of 3, and I'm going to copy this and paste it here and here. Okay, so we're going to do similarly for the row of 3. So in case of 3, we will have the I index, the I+1 index, and the I+2 index. Only these 3 are matches, and the next ones are not needed here, so I'm going to take this off. And as I said, for the row of 4 as well, we will be omitting the last 3 indexes of every single row. So if that is the case, if we omit last 4 indices for in each row for row of 5, and last 3 indices each row for the row of 4, so in that case we will be omitting last 2 indices for each row in the row of, if we check for the row of 3, so we will be just omitting 6 and 7 in the first line, then we will omit 14 and 15, then we will go with 22 and 23, we will go with 30 and 31, then we will have 38 and 39, we're going to omit those, then 46 and 47, then we will be picking these up, and we will check, we will not check 54 and 55, and 60 and 61, these are also not needed. All right, so that's the thing. Then the thing that we will do is, firstly we will check for the index if it's within the not valid list. If it's within the not valid list, then we're going to continue and we are going to just ignore this. And if it's not within the not valid list, then we're going to check for the row of 3, and if there is a match, so as we already have the decided color, that is the current index, the candy in the current index will be the decided color, and when we're checking that, we will be checking for the ones, for every of these items, I, then I+1 and I+2, if every of these items match with the item I, then, and it's not blank, then we're going to have find a match, and if we find a match, then we're going to set those squares or those places of the candies to blank, and we're going to increment the score. Okay, so that's what we want. Now the thing is, as we know that if we are having blanks, we need to replace those blanks with some other candies. That means we need to generate those, and the thing is, wherever we find a match, then the candies just above it needs to come down, and at that point we will be seeing that the candies just above it come down, and then the top candies or the top row or the top couple of rows, they might be, that means they might be without candy. So though the blanks will be on the top side of the grid, so in that case we need to make that move as well, or make a function for that. So let's have const move into square below. That means we want the candies to come down. So this is the function that we're going to work on, and here we just want to omit the last line, because that is just the line below, and there is nothing below that. So we will be checking the one just above that, so that maybe as it is a 8 into 8 grid, we will be checking the 7th row. That means up to the 7th row, because the items can come down below to the 8th row, but after the 8th row there is no rows, so we're going to omit the last 8 indices. So for that reason, we will have for let I equals 0, I less than 56, and I plus plus. Okay, so if that is the case, we are going to have a list of indices which represent the first row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 7. Okay, and we're going to have a check is first row. That means if that is the case, first row dot includes I. Okay, that means is first row is the one we're going to check. So firstly, we're going to see if it's the first row and the current color arrangement is blank. As I said, that if the colors move down, that will be blank. So we're going to check for its first row and the current color arrangement of I is blank. So we will have a random number, and here we're going to generate into candy colors dot len. Okay, current color arrangement of I equals candy colors random number. So we're going to assign to those in the indices, as I said, the blank indices, any candies randomly selected from the candy colors list, and this random number actually refers to one of the indices from that list. So that in the index number will be selected. I mean, that candy will be selected and placed in place of the blank. Okay, so that's the thing. And one more thing that we want to have is if current color arrangement of I plus width equals blank. If that's blank, then as I said that we want the colors to come down below, so we will have the current color arrangement of I plus width. I plus width is the index just below it, so the color or the candy on the I index will just go down to the I plus width index. And with that, we are going to set the I index to blank. So basically this will execute first, and then these things will. At first, the colors or the candies, these are going to come down to the blank indices, and the ones above it, which are blank, those will be having, I will say that random candies will be generated, and those will be filled here. Okay. So now, as we want the things to be draggable, so at first let's display the score here. Okay, we have displayed the score, and after that, let's make the function for drag start, drag drop, and drag end. So let's go for drag start is E, and this will be, I think we need to create some more useState. So one will be const square being dragged, set square being dragged, and here this will be null instead of the array. This will be null, and we will also have square being replaced, and set square being replaced, and useState will be null. Okay, so that's what we are going to have. And I think I made a mistake here. This will be score display instead of just score. Okay, that's what we have. So what we want is, as we are going to make some functions. One is drag start, and then we're going to make drag drop, and this will also lead to an arrow function. And finally we will have const drag end. This will be the same as well. So before moving forward, what we want to do is we will go to the image here, the image tag, and what we will do is on drag start, we will have the drag start function. Then on drag over, we will have e dot prevent default. Then we will have on drag enter. This will also be, I'm just going to copy this line. This will also be the same. We will have e dot prevent default, and on drag leave, this will also be same, e dot prevent default, and on drop, we will have drag drop function, and finally on drag end, we will have drag end. Okay, so now we will be writing these functions. So in this case, if it's a drag start, so we will be having the set square being dragged is e dot target, and for the drop one, this will be set square being replaced e dot target. Okay, and finally for the drag end, now we are going to do some functionalities, as you can see, because once this ends, we are going to have some checks, because we need to see if the moves are valid, if there are matches, if there are not matches. So if these moves are valid, then this will be, I mean, the matches will work and the candies will disappear and blank space will occur, then those will be replaced as well. Otherwise, if these are not valid moves, then nothing will happen. So we need to check all these things. So at first, what we want is square being dragged ID is square being dragged dot get attribute of data ID. As you have already seen, if we go a little bit down here, this is the data ID, and the data ID is index. That's what we're going to capture here. So with that, we're going to have the square being dragged ID, and we also need the square being replaced ID. Square being replaced ID equals square being replaced dot get attribute is data ID. And one more thing is, like, we want to make some calculations and we don't want the string values. So for that, we're going to parse it into integer values. So parse int. Okay, and we're going to do the same for this. So this will be parse int. Okay, so that's what we have. Then the next thing is current color arrangement, and within that, square being replaced, this will be a square being dragged dot get attribute, and here we will be having the source attribute. This contains the images, so that means we can just drag the candies So this is the one from the current color arrangement of the square being replaced, that index. This will be replaced by the square being dragged. So that means the candy that I am dragging, and if I place that, if it's a valid move, then this will be replaced. And current color arrangement of square being dragged. I think no, this will be actually ID. We want the ID, and this will be replaced. That means the square being dragged, that candy will be replaced by the one where it's placed. So we also want the square being replaced or get attribute source that candy. So the two candies will swap their positions. Okay, so that's what we have. Next thing we will do is we will go for valid moves, and we will see which are the valid moves. So apparently the valid moves are, as I said, that if I is the position, then from the square, if I consider that is the square being dragged ID, that is I, or if square being dragged ID is the position where I'm currently at, the valid moves will be to the left, that is square being dragged ID -1. So let's write that. Square being dragged ID -1. Then that is the left. Now let's check for the one above it. So that is square being dragged ID minus width. So that's what we have. Now we will check for the one on the right, that is square being dragged ID +1. And finally, the one below the square being dragged ID is plus width. Okay, so these are the valid moves only. So this is a list that we have. Now we are going to have const valid move for each individual move that we're going to have. We're going to go through the valid moves, and we're going to check includes square being replaced ID. Okay, valid moves includes square being replaced ID. That means the candy or the position that we are trying to replace, this should be included within the valid moves. If not, then that is not possible. Okay, and we are also going to check, because we need to check for the columns of 5, the rows of 5, the columns of 4, the rows of 4, the columns of 3, the rows of 3. So we need to check if these are actually columns of 5, 4, or 3, or rows of 5, 4, or 3. So we will do const is column of 5, and we will go for check for column of 5. We don't need anything in between. These are autofill I'm using tab 9, so these are coming anyways. Okay, these are row of 5, check for row of 5. And so that's what is a column of 5, is a row of 5. Then we will have is a column of 4, and we will have check if it's a column of 4. Is a row of 4. We will check for row of 4, and const is a column of 3. We will check for a column of 3, and const is a row of 3. We will check for the row of 3. Okay, now time for checking if square being replaced ID and it's a valid move, and let's just go a little bit down, and we will have is a column of 3 or is a row of 3. Then we will have is a column of 4. We will also go with is a row of 4, and then we'll have is a column of 5, is a row of 5. Okay, that's what we want. So here what we want to see is we want to set the square being dragged and square being replaced to null. Square being dragged to null, and set the square being replaced to null. Okay. So if that is not the case, so we will have else current color arrangement of square being replaced ID equals square being replaced dot get attribute of source and current color arrangement of square being dragged ID. I think this needs to change as well. Equals square being dragged dot get attribute source, and after that we will have a set current color arrangement equal is what we already had, and then current color arrangement. Okay, that's what we're going to set it to. All right, so now as we have created all of these, I think there must be an error somewhere. Export default app. What is going wrong with it? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to see this later on, but for now anyways, we'll come to this later on. Now we need to have useEffect, and inside that we will have a set interval. Set interval we'll check for first we'll check for column of 5, then we'll check for row of 5, then we'll check for column of 4, then we'll check for row of 4, then we will check for column of 3, and we'll check for row of 3. Then we'll have move into square below, and we'll have set current color arrangement. That will be current color arrangement. Okay, and with that we will have the interval of 100 milliseconds. That means this will take 100 milliseconds time to replace or fall down and replace the candies, or by replace I mean after the match, then you'll see that the candies are, the places are becoming blank, and then the ones above it are coming down. So each of these events are going to take 1/10 of a second, that is 100 milliseconds. So after that we're going to return clear interval of timer. Okay, and for this useEffect we're going to have a dependency area of a lot of things. So first we'll have a check for a column of 5, check for a row of 5, check for a column of 4, check for a I think I made it okay. Check for column of 4, check for row of 4, and then we will have check for column of 3, and finally we will have check for row of 3. Okay, so alongside that we want to have 2 more dependencies. That is, we want to have move into square below, and also we want to have the current color arrangement. Okay, and the thing is we don't need these brackets to display the functions. We don't need to use these brackets in the dependency array. So I guess this looks fine. Okay, so if we save this, we're still getting an error here, and let's see. Okay, it's missing I guess that should be it. It's still failing to compile. Let's just close it and try restarting it, and let's see if it passes or not. Starting the development server. Okay, rows of 5 is not defined. Okay, there are some of the things. Okay, in line 43, I need to check. If I go to the line 43, in line 43, rows of 5 is not defined. It is defined. Oh, okay. Row of 5. Sorry. This will be row of 5. Then in 134, if we go to line 134, set square being replaced is capital R. Then 160. Oh my goodness. Spelling mistake. Okay. And 177. Expected an assignment or function call instead saw an expression. And 180, I think these are warnings. That should do it, I guess. Okay, it's still Same for 134. Okay. That square being replaced. And 177. These things are really painful, to be honest. Where is this? Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, in case of drag end, this is a place where drag end will come. Okay. $177. I don't see any problem with that. Okay, let's refresh. Oh my goodness. Okay, that is the thing. We need one more thing to change. So we need to go to the index.css and inside the game class, we're going to take the image and we will have the width of 70 pixels, as 70 into 8 is 560. So we need to divide 560 by 8, so we get 70. And we want height to be 70 pixels as well. So if we save this, now you can see that we have what we wanted. So this is the grid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 8 in a row, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, 8 in a column. So if we refresh, basically what we are getting here, let me just make this big. This is the score. I think we can change it a little bit. I mean, if we go to the app.js here, we can say score like this. So, okay. So once these are being generated, as we have less number of candies, that means we have 5 types of candies. So it's normal to like suddenly generate the same type of candy in a row of 3, in a row of 5, in a row of 4, or maybe instead of row in a column. So those are replaced, and this is the thing that happens. So if I show you one more thing, is like, as I said, if you want to see this in real time. So let's just make this 1 second instead of 100 milliseconds. So you see, if I refresh, wow, this is something different. Like this almost never happens. Anyways, so let's try to find a match. So if you see that these two, and if I drag this here, so then this tree will be a match, and then you see this become blank. Okay. All right. Valid move is not a function. Okay, something is not right. Okay. I think we missed, and Now I think there won't be any problem. So just see, these are coming down within every second, and now these are being generated. Okay, so if we change this, like you can see that we will have a column of 4. So, and there was something here as well. So you see that these things are coming down, and there was a match here as well. Now these are being replaced. Okay, so there was a match again. So these are being replaced. So every time there is a match, then we get an increment of the score. Otherwise, it stays the same. So I'm just going to make it back to, like, instead of 1,000 milliseconds, we will have 100 milliseconds, and we're going to save this. And you see now this will work as Candy Crush. You can see that there are 2, and if I move it up here, there's a match. Then there is a match. Well, this is a match as well. So it may not look so appealing. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, so maybe this might look better. See, so there were many matches here as well. So there you go. I'm just playing it just casually. So basically that's the thing. This will just go on as long as you want. This will keep on going. So that's the thing, apparently. And this is the code. And all right, so let me bring myself back. I think we're at the end of the video. So yeah, so this is how we wanted to make Candy Crush. And if we do a little bit of recap, what we did is we are checking for the rows of 5, 4, or 3, or columns of 5, 4, 3 for matches. And we are actually checking these matches, and once these are matched, we are just taking those things off, like removing them, apparently making them blank. And instead of the blank, then the colors or the candies that are just above those blank spaces are coming down one by one. And then the ones which have absolutely blank squares, I will say, that just at the top of the grid. So at those places, you might see that new colors are being generated randomly. I mean, or the new candies are being generated, and then those empty spots are being filled up. So basically, this is a little bit of functionality of Candy Crush. You can also try on like making. There are some other moves, like if it's just not exactly maybe a straight line for a row of 5, you might also match it in a way that it's like 3 from the left to right and 3 from top to bottom, and the middle one, or the middle index, is common for both the cases. That means there is a 5-way match in that case. So that can also happen, and there are some other cases as well. If you have already played Candy Crush, maybe you can have a T shape, you can have an L shape match as well. So if those are the cases, you might also make some logic here and create those, maybe if you want to try yourself. So you can also do that. So basically that's it for the video. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I know it took a long time. I think we're here for over an hour, I guess. Yeah, I think an hour and 20 minutes by now. So basically I wanted to create that. I just created it like yesterday, finished doing it yesterday, and I thought of like going for a live session with you people, and I guess I think you have enjoyed it. So if you did, just smash the thumbs up button. I did say it before, smash the thumbs up button so that more people like you might be able to see. Maybe somebody who doesn't follow me or non-subscribers can also see my videos as well. Smash the thumbs up, please. And if you haven't already, if you like this video, then do subscribe, or like my videos, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And those who are watching Twitch, I hope you can smash the follow button and follow me. And yeah, basically then that's all from my side, and maybe I'll see you in some other video. So till then, I'm going to leave now, and goodbye.